My name is James O. James with Growth Stack. Growth Stack is a software development company focused on ERP, and our main tools for ERP deployment is Odoo ERP. Today, in this lesson, I'm going to show you how you can record your daily expenses using the Odoo. Recording expenses is the simplest task anybody or anyone in an organization can do. You don't need to go to school. All you need to do is just know how to click a few buttons. And also I'll just go straight to the database and then show you how you can start. Now before you start recording your expenses, so I'll go straight to the expenses app. Before you start recording your expenses, there are things you need to consider. One, the expense has to do with the employee, so that employee must have a file in the system. That employee must have a file in the system, and that employee must have a contact address in the employee section. That's under the employees. Now if the employee doesn't have a contact address in the employee section, then the expenses will not go through because the system does not recognize this employee, or recognize the employee, but we cannot trace the location of this employee, assuming we want to recover the money back. All right, so let's just get straight to creating an expenses, how easy it is. Now, so you go to the menu, you have access to expenses, and that's where I am right now. So I'll create new expense, and then I will select the description. Today, I'll use flight to Abuja, and that's the expense. And then the next section you want to look at is the category. Very important, very, very important. Please don't skip the category section. Now, on the category, you have a lot of categories of expenses, what the accountant call expense head. Now, for this expense I'm incurring now, so that will be under transportation category. The reason is the company wants to track how much they have spent on transportation, for the year, for the month, or for the week. And then, so what is the next thing? So transportation to Abuja will cost, a flight to Abuja will cost maybe 60,000. Let's just leave it there. Now the next thing you want to do, there's no tax for this type of expenses. Now the money, did I use the money as an employee and then hoping to be reimbursed, or I was given the money by the company? So let's assume the company gave me the money. Now, what's the next thing? If I'm performing this tax for another employee, you have some employees that don't have access to the Odoo in an organization, but they are also incurring expenses. So I'll be able to select the name of the employee right here. There are a lot of them. This is a demo account. Now, so the two things that are very important here is the three things are flight, the description of the expenses, the category, and the amount. Also very important is the date. Please don't forget to select the date. Now there's a date in your flight ticket, so that's the date you're going to use for audit purpose. Now, because this user has the accounting privileges, so he's able to see the type of account, but for other users you might not see account. And of course I've shown you the employee. And then we have the analytics account. The analytics account has to do with if this expenses is being tied to a project, or if this expense is being tied to a particular activities in the company. And then analytic tax has to do with assuming this flight expenses that I'm paying to Abuja. I have a company, I have a multi-company, but I am going to Abuja to represent the two company. So I want the flight money to be distributed to the two companies. You can have, if you're working in a multi-company environment, So let's assume I have a company producing, you know, rice, and I also have a different company producing, something like bottled water. So this flight money can now be distributed to, based on the percentage. This flight money can now be distributed to the two companies for that purpose. For today, we are not going to. I'm just explaining to you what that means. But today we are just going to go make everything simple. So the flight to Abuja, I select the category. The category will be created by the accountant in the company. They will set up the category. So for this demo, we just have three of them. Then also, very important, the amount, and then if there's tax, you can go ahead. And then also very important, you can't skip, is the date. Okay, so that's fine. Just keep it simple, and I will save this. The next thing that is going to happen now is I have to be able to attach a receipt of the flight that I took to Abuja. So I need to attach. I can use my mobile phone to to select and attach. And so I just pick up any I'm looking for. Okay, all right, so I'll just pick up this as the receipt, just to attach it to be able to create a report. And it's not all the expense that can have a receipt. Like some transportation you're using, cab, and they may not give you the receipt, so you may not have to attach anything to the system. But for audit purpose, it's usually better to attach a receipt to the system, so you can see the receipt showing up here, and you can also see the receipt attached here. All right, so that's fine. Once you attach the receipt, and if you don't have a receipt, you can just go ahead and create a report. But that doesn't show that there's an evidence of payment. Okay, so I'll create the report. This is done by the staff who is incurring these expenses. So I'll go ahead and create the report. What does it mean to create the report? Create report means I want to make a report and then send it to my manager for approval. That's what it means by creating a report. Now I also want to understand and then look at the flow. Now you create a report, you submit the report, you wait for it to be approved, and then before the payments can uh, go through. Now, so I've created a report now. Now, while traveling to Abuja, I also incur other expenses. I can add the expenses, more expenses, like maybe feeding and everything. I can add it on the new line right here. You can just create one and keep adding them. All right, so I'm just trying to keep it simple. Okay, now for this particular demo, I don't have a manager now, but on the employee, if your system has the payroll, or sorry, if your system has employee, the system will automatically detect who your manager is. But if you are submitting to a different manager, you select it. Okay, so this is the user, and then the money is paid by the company, and then other information is the journal and all of that. You don't have to set all those ones. It's going to be done in accounting department. All right, so this is I save this. Now this is my expenses. I can choose to delete these expenses, maybe because for whatever reason, I don't want it to be sent to any manager yet, or I can print it out. I can print out the expense report, assuming we are submitting to, the boss don't like, I don't know, but you don't need to print it out because it's just going to be sent direct to the manager or your head for approval. All right, so I can delete it right now, and then the company doesn't know anything about it because I'm not incurring anything. But once I'm ready and then I submit to the manager, that expense has gone through and it has left my table. So as an employee, you're not going to see anything else. The only thing is just going to see the flow. The manager will now see the approve or refuse, or reset to draft to edit some things. One of the reasons that it might not be approved is that you don't have a document to show evidence of payment, or depending on the company policy, we don't, you know, pay this kind of amount to this level of employee, and then so everything is fine. If everything's okay by the manager can now go ahead and approve the expenses. And now once the manager approve the expense is now being, that particular document is now being sent to account department. Now the reason why I'm seeing everything is because I'm using a user that have the privileges to see all of this flow. But the employee is not going to be able to see this. The manager is not going to be able to see this. This is done in accounting department. So the accounts can also decide to refuse the payment or keep it on hold. Or once the account chooses to pay or the money has been paid, then they can now post it to accounting a journal. And then once it's been posted, the money is paid. Okay, now that's fine. So you see how easy it is to record your expenses. um, you can decide to try out yourself. I'll keep the demo I'll keep the demo accounts open for those of you that are already running on a live database. You can try out things that are not relevant. You can't do dummy information on your live database. So I can print these expenses and then submit it to whoever. I don't need to even print. I can just share it, and then right, you can make you can also decide to send a message to anyone in the company concerning these expenses. All right, so I can send it to my boss. Please review the expense for approval. So he will be able to, I just send an email to my boss. Is right here. He'll be able to get a notification on his email. Then also I can log a note concerning this. This is all about this expense. I can log a note concerning this. I can schedule a meeting with anybody concerning this, but I don't want to go all of that. I'm just showing you what you can do with all of this. But this is paid, so that's all to record the expenses. And then so if the company chooses to get a report of all the expenses, they can also get that report. But in accounting department, which I want to show you right now, I'll just go to accounting department to see how much we have been, incurring um, in transportation. So I'll go to my profit and loss. I can see that transportation I have 70,000. This is not the first time we've recorded expenses on that transportation. So, but if I want to know why is 70,000, I can actually, drill down to see why it is 70,000. I see that the demo user flight to Abuja 60,000. I see that the administrator transport to Lagos 10,000. So I can drill down. I can find out more and more and more. I can drill down. This is for accounting department. All right, so that's how to record expenses. If you have any question, um, you're free to get in touch with us. Just go to growthstack.gs. You'll find our contact information right there. You can get our contact information and give us a direct call, or you just send us a mail, and then we get it, and then we open a ticket to assist you. Thank you very much, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you using your app. And then thank you. I appreciate your time.